good Lord has afforded us today and this week. I hope you're really bullish about what this week is holding for you. There's a lot that we'll be focusing on here on AM Live. You know, every Monday, what really comes your way, this is a point. So we shall be looking at what is happening with the coronavirus update so far. Of course, intervention from government policy decisions that have been made so far. Also, the BBI, that is the BBI rally that was happening in Meru, will be also trying to hack back into what really happened last week as far as the politics is concerned. We do have also a panelist with us here today. Of course, we're expecting others to join us today. Alice Homish is held up at Mombasa Road. There was a parliamentary meeting yesterday at Hilton Hotel along Mombasa Road. And of course, traffic is back-to-back this morning, chock-a-block. And she'll be joining us much later, if not at all, in the course of the program. But other panelists are coming, and of course, here is their guest profiles. Yes, those are our panelists. We have Okong'o Morgan with us and Richard Onyonka you saw there. I just want to have the courtesy of greeting them in the morning. Okong'o, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Richard Onyonka.
Good morning, boss.
Yeah, you were up early today, so I'll serve you tea first. Okong'o is next. What will you care for?
If I come later than 6:30, then 5:30,
yes,
I'll get here at 8.
Because of traffic?
Yes.
I know. I can see also Aman Manyora. You can just walk in, sir. Yes. Good to see you. How's it going?
Oh, wonderful.
Welcome to my cafe. So what would you care for, Richard Onyonka?
Coffee, black.
Black coffee.
No sugar, yes.
No sugar. And Mr. Okong'o, what will you care for?
Hot water, please.
Hot water. Okay, let me start with the easiest, which is the hot water. Then we come to black coffee. And Haman Manyora?
Black tea.
Black tea as well.
Black tea, yes.
Okay. Maybe we can just get the highlights of the week so far as you know, politics is concerned, and also the coronavirus update. Richard Onyonka, the interventions so far that we have, last week we really talked about it, and it's good that we see the government came in very handy with the new information, and of course also new interventions as far as this coronavirus is concerned. Continue.
That is true. I think for me the intervention came a little bit late.
A little bit too late?
A little bit late, but we were lucky that the disease had not created, quote-unquote, an emergency for the last 3 weeks that it's been the big story around.
Yes.
But I think we need to do more. Nobody knows basic facts. For example, we don't know whether we have the masks, whether the quality of those masks is what is recommended. truth be told, we should never have allowed any of those planes to come in. I remember I actually tweeted about it some 3-4 weeks ago. I was saying I don't understand why we are allowing a Chinese flight to come, because we didn't know how deadly or how effective the disease was,
yes,
and whether we had a preparedness to take care of that.
Yes.
I believe quietly the government should be doing certain things, including creating areas where individuals will be quarantined.
Yeah.
The issue of whether there are any medicines. But at the same time, I think for me, what this government of ours should do is to come out clearly, issuing maybe a daily or a bi-daily report on what exactly is going on.
Yes.
Where we are as a country. Like, it's good that now you can see they're saying we may not allow planes from Korea and 1 or 2 other countries. They should have given reasons why, so that they can then build a level of confidence with the Kenyan public.
Yes.
But again, I think to me, it was good to see our courts making a ruling on the matter, because it's a public, it is a public issue, and it at least gave Kenyans reprieve. And it would also be good for the government to make announcements and tell us, the people who came from the China flight a week ago, where they all are, what has happened to them, what is their condition for each one of them. But at the same time, I also wish to persuade our people in our country that when such incidents happen, for example, you saw cases where in Athi River, people had already started flashing out, where these quote-unquote Chinese who had come, where they were staying, what they were doing. We need to be very sensitive about such issues, because they themselves are dealing with a life and death matter. Even in Lamu, they've abandoned construction sites as well, coming back to Nairobi, because the fear for their lives as well. The fear for their lives is, and also the embassy here in Nairobi has expressed its frustration with the way also the Chinese are being treated right now, being marginalized and ostracized as it is. Let's hear from Okong'o Mogini, briefly.
Yeah, I think first is to congratulate the new CS, Minister of Health.
Yes.
And I think he has hit the road running. I was impressed to hear him say that he wants to, escalate the awareness and our capability to deal with this virus outbreak to the counties. Because I was reading on the social media that that plane that came to China, 4 Chinese left for Eldoret. And if we don't have capacity to deal with this epidemic at the county level, that poses another risk. So I think congratulations to the new CS for being proactive and ensuring that our 47 counties have the capacity to deal with this virus. But I think also, Dibal, we are talking about people coming in, but I don't know whether we have also imposed restrictions on Kenyans who are maybe traveling to China and coming back. And we are focusing too much about the Chinese plane that comes direct from China. But I'm told that Ethiopian Airlines also flies from China to Ethiopia and then into Kenya. So that could be another entry point for people coming in from China. So we really need to liaise with our ambassador in China to also monitor the people who are boarding planes coming into the country, so that we are able to take care of all entry points. I think I saw that is it Korea? Korea has closed entirely its border points, because the disease is spreading very fast in South Korea.
We shall be looking at this as well. Hamad Manyora, briefly.
Myself, Mike, I don't know that you can hear me now. First of all, it was very worrying that the government was doing nothing. So when the president came up with the task force, I was really happy, and I think many Kenyans were. I would only urge him to incorporate men who Kenyans have in the recent past had reason to believe are capable of doing something. I have in mind CS Matiang'i, I have in mind his PS Kibisho, I have in mind head of the KDF, General Madate. The way they pulled out that Moi funeral has left no doubt in my mind that we have a few Kenyans who can perform. So I would urge the president to find a way of including Kibisho and Matiang'i and Madade.
Yes.
Because really, I would want to see a situation where the KDF plays a big role in this thing, because they have the capacity, they have the discipline, and they have the training.
Thank you.
But more importantly, the bar, I am not convinced we seem to know the seriousness of this thing. And I'm not convinced we know our undercapacity. So I think the government needs to move in a way that reassures Kenyans that we are doing something. And what we are seeing so far, the bar, is very, very heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking because we are maintaining our usual relationship with foreigners. Let's be very honest this morning. Kenyans fear foreigners. They don't respect them. They fear them so much. So we are willing to bend backwards. We are willing to do things which no sane government and no sane people can do because we fear foreigners. Let's respect foreigners. But I'm asking government.
No. But when you say we fear foreigners and we don't respect them, I'm
not saying we don't respect. I'm saying we should respect.
We should respect
them.
Okay, I got it wrong.
And relate with them well, but not fear them. You know, we have not gotten out of this colonial and post-colonial relationship with foreigners, where a Kenyan instinctively, akiona mzungu, he's like wants to stand up and remove his hat. That thing is what is ailing us today, because some of the things that are happening in the country, like telling people, look here, if you read on the Daily Nation, travelers from Italy, South Korea, and Iran will now be required to self-quarantine. Self-quarantine.
We'll come back to that.
That's not right.
We'll come back to that.
We must borrow from best practices.
Thank you. Thank you. And of course, we shall be looking and drilling deeper on this as well. But this is also on the front page of the Daily Nation, what just Haman Manyora was reading. But you can see the splash today is all about also the MPs, reveal secrets of MPs' Somalia trip. Tough questions for 11 politicians who secretly left Nairobi on Saturday for Mogadishu, where they were hosted and dined by President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo in what could herald a fresh diplomatic tiff between Kenya and its neighbor. You have this story continuing on page 6 of the Daily Nation today. Leaders say the mission was all about Northeastern region's security. That was the agenda. And you can see them alighting from the plane there. Wajir East MP Rashid Kasim, Mandera East Omar Salah Maalim, Lagdera's Mohammed Hire and Kulo Maalim Manisa, alighting from a plane at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport yesterday. We have Secretary Muridi Kangi saying what was of concern to the country was how the MPs traveled to a foreign country without the necessary clearance. And you can follow the story on page 6 of the Daily Nation. Seclusion for travelers from Italy, South Korea. This is what Haman was reading as well. Travelers from Italy, South Korea and Iran will now also be required to self-quarantine for 14 days. A government task force has said. The team on the COVID-19 coronavirus yesterday said Kenya will take measures adopted by other countries and those recommended by the World Health Organization seriously. The head of the task force, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe, said cases have soared in the 3 countries and the government is thinking of other possible measures to take in order to keep Kenya safe. The story continues on page 3 of the Daily Nation today. Also, why General Kariuki is still a bitter man, wrongfully jailed over 1982 coup attempt, then vindicated by court. Mr. Kariuki is still searching for justice. This is how the Daily Nation looks today. And Downton plan to hold BBI rally in Eldoret. Team charged with leading campaign yet to set a date for meeting. This is on page 4 of the Daily Nation today. Standard is up next. And this is what you have on the front page of the Standard. Scramble for Kenya. A fresh start. That is the abiding question. BBI presents the country's biggest political moment since the 2010 referendum. We are on the cusp of a new Kenya, and this is how it is shaping up. You have the story on page 6 and 7, how politicians are marinating positions. We have the president, also we have the prime minister, deputy president, and deputy PM, that's 2 positions for the deputy PM, ministers from among MPs and technocrats. That will be followed by parliament, the Senate will be the upper house, National Assembly to follow, leader of official also of official opposition will be from the National Assembly, 14 region or regional governments, 14 or 47 county governments, and MCAs. We have bites here as well. Wasingishu Governor Jackson Mandogo is saying, quote unquote, mambo ya BBI hiyo isiwasumbue akili. Hii BBI is not about you. It is about sisi wenye tuko kwa viti. Sisi wengine tulikuwa tumeona tunakaribia kuenda nyumbani. Someone is honest there. Also we have Kotu boss Francis Atwoli saying, quote unquote, where is Uhuru going and he is young? Atatusumbua watu wengi. Atasumbua watu wengi. We must amend the constitution to accommodate him somewhere. And that's how the Standard looks today. Also on the side, but there's 11 MPs in trouble for talks with Somalia president. This is a standoff there. The MPs from Wajir and Mandera counties flew to Mogadishu on Saturday for meetings with President Farmajo and intelligence chiefs that have alarmed Foreign Affairs Ministry. Also Kenya to work with Uganda, Tanzania in coronavirus war. Health CS Mutai Kagwe says Kenya to work closely with neighboring countries in screening people at the borders. The story is tucked away on page 2 of Standard today. Moving quickly to other dailies, let's see what is on the front page of the Star. And this is what is a splash today. Raila gets free hand to woo Uhuru backyard. That's how it looks today. Crocodiles he encountered in River Jordan neutralized by Uhuru, so path is clear. This is all the way to the road leading to Canaan. BBI meetings give former PM strategic opportunity to rebrand himself and build alliances. The story continues on page 6 of the Star. And secret visit by Kenyan MPs to Somalia gets them in trouble. You can see them alighting here. I read their names elsewhere. You can follow the story inside page 6 of the Star. Also, ex-warder says he can pinpoint Kimathi's grave for 25 million shillings fee. EACC to grill Korane over 233 million shillings World Bank cash, and 10 women killed since January, most by intimate partners. It's all about domestic violence. You can follow the story on page 11 of the Star. This is how it looks today. Quickly, also we have the People Daily for you, and this is what you're waking up to on the front page of the People Daily. It's getting corrupt there a bit. People Daily is looking like this. Why 11 Kenyan MPs secretly visited Somalia. Legislators, members of President Farmajo's clan who left Nairobi without clearance to meet the neighboring country's top intelligence chiefs and government officials for undisclosed talks, were arrested upon return for grilling. You have their faces all spread on the front page of the People Daily today, all the way from Ahmed Korosh to Aidan Ali Sheikh of Mandera West. Also, House Budget Office raises red flag over Big Four agenda, lack of sufficient funding and ambiguous priorities by Treasury threaten Uhuru legacy projects. This story continues on page 5 of the People Daily. And llamas lactating moms suffer agony of dry breasts. You can read all about that in the new health segment inside the People Daily today. This is how it looks today. Also on top there, how BBI has changed Raila fortunes in Mount Kenya. Opposition leader using the handshake between him and the president to make political inroads into region that heavily voted against him in the last 2 polls. That is what we have on the front page of the People Daily this morning. Let's see what we have on the front page of Taifa Leo and also the Business Daily. This is how it looks today on the front page of Taifa Leo. Uhuru achia Raila BBI. Rais Kenyatta hajahudhuria vikao vya kuhamasisha BBI, kikiwemo kile cha Jumamosi ngomeni yake Mlima Kenya. That is what the flag reads on top here. And wabunge 11 wanaswa JKIA kwa kuzuru Somalia kisiri. That is the story that you want to follow also inside Taifa Leo. Let's buckle down to business and see what the Business Daily is holding for us today. NSE hits 16-year low as blue chip stocks plunge. There's volatility here. Foreign investors flee amid turmoil in global markets over coronavirus. And this is the blowback of the coronavirus, also how it's really affecting us We can see also the international indices as well, indicating this. Nairobi Security Exchange main index dropped to a 16-year low on Friday as foreign investors withdrew amid turmoil in global markets over the coronavirus outbreak and profit-taking hit banking stocks. The story continues on page 4, and you can just get the grim reality from the NSE 20 index. The index has fallen to levels last seen 16 years ago. Look at that. Here is where we are right now, and this is from the Nairobi Security Exchange. So this is the reality of how coronavirus is affecting us when the global markets, of course, plunges as well. We take a hit. CS nominees face new rules on sources of their wealth. Presidential nominees, I should say, to the cabinet or the position of principal secretary will now be compelled to provide a detailed breakdown of all sources of their wealth as opposed to providing a block figure. Parliament has proposed a raft of changes guiding the vetting of presidential nominees, which will also include a requirement for the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, that is DCI, Kenya Revenue Authority, and Higher Education Loans Board to appear before vetting panels to shed light on the nominees' past conduct. Also, motorists face toll charges on key highway. Beware, motorists in Kenya are headed for tough times as government prepares a new law ahead of the financial year in July to guide the introduction of toll fees for use of highways. Parliament has directed the Treasury, the Ministry of Transport and the Attorney General to urgently table a bill that will guide the imposition of toll fees on major national roads and establishment of a toll fund. You can follow the story on page 4 of the Business Daily this morning. On the ticker, quickly, on the ticker today, Kenya's exports to US hits 51 billion shillings. Exports to the United States last year grew at the fastest pace in 5 years to hit a fresh high, making Washington the second biggest buyer of Kenyan goods after Uganda. The story continues on page 5 of the Business Daily. Today's digit is 2 billion shillings, and this is the reduction in NSSF's latest full-year contribution owing to job cuts and farms closures, and Kenyan delays dividend plan. Kenya Electricity Generating Company has postponed a decision on dividend payouts on the performance of last year's until a new Auditor General is appointed to scrutinize the power producers' books. And this is also we wanted to discuss with our panelists. Up to now, we don't really have an Auditor General, and you can see how this is affecting some of the parastatals in the country, because now they cannot really submit their financial reports without an Auditor General. This is also affecting dividends as it is right now. We wonder what is the delay with the Auditor General, that is Auditor General's exit, that is Edward Ouko last year. Kenya Power eyes garage for revenue boost. Kenya Power will commercialize its garage and lease out idle land in bid to shore up its revenues in the wake of dimming profitability. The story continues on page 17 of the Business Daily this morning. Allow me to just quickly cross over borders. We head over to Tanzania briefly and see what is on the front page of the Citizen in Tanzania. There you are. Publishers struck with 9 billion shillings textbooks. A 2014 change in policy has made it impossible for private publishers to sell textbooks worth billions of shillings, which are now piled up in warehouses. The story continues on page 2 of the Citizen. I'm not sure if the books you are referring to conform to the new curriculum or not. If they do, it is up to the government to decide. But if they were published based on the old curriculum, then the books are irrelevant. This is what Dr. Aneth Komba, Tanzania Institute of Education Director General, she's saying there. You can follow the story on page 2. Deputy Minister bogged down as rains wreak havoc here. And we can see on the sidebar, Msekwa plays down member expulsion from CCM. The story continues on page 2. Fresh details emerge in Lugola case. You can read all the details on page 2 on prop committee and covers major Sizal scandal. That is on page 2 as well of the Citizen. I will skip today the Mwananchi to just go straight to the Daily Monitor in Uganda and just show you what we have on the front page of the Daily Monitor in Uganda briefly, and also the New Times in Rwanda. How green economy efforts will promote sustainability is going about the green imperative right now, that economies are trying to streamline to just not really focus on the profits, but the people, the planet, and the profits. And this is what is on the front page of the New Times today. Environmental consciousness and sustainability has become priority among the general population. Firm steps have in the past been made in terms of direction of investments and exploitation of resources. Read all the details on page 2 of the New Times. I want Rwanda to be our entry to African market, Israeli ambassador to Rwanda says. And the Tour de Rwanda 2020 is here. Richard Teffazion crowned champion. You can see him here. This is a standalone picture. The story continues inside at the New Times as well. I want to show you also the latest copy of the East African, and it's focusing truly on the coronavirus this week. East Africa traders panic as 4 Chinese ships fail to dock. Shortage of goods and price increases loom as deadly infection spread across the world and city locks down disrupt global supply chains. The story continues on page 4 and 5 of the East African this week. Also, Bernard member expelled from CCM. You can read all the story on page 6. And East Africans to pay more DNA for clothes as well. An upward tax review will affect imported fabric and mitumba. And also fines for stray cows in Dar law. Kenya and Rwanda pastoralists face steep cash penalties or auction if they has cross borders. And presidential miss brews EACC crisis. The East African community is steeped in a financial and operational crisis following the postponement of the heads of state summit for the second time in a span of 90 days. That story continues on page 3 of the East African this week. Also, it's a new month, and you can also grab a copy of the Nairobi Law Monthly and also Nairobi Business Monthly as well. This is how it looks for the Business Monthly. Why you should invest in an educational plan, options, factors that come into play, and assets allocation strategies fund managers employ when putting funds in education investments. You can read all about it in the latest copy of the Nairobi Business Monthly, so be all the wiser as far as the education policy is concerned. Also, company and industry, the future and challenges of digital financing. You can read also the rest of the details inside the latest copy of the Nairobi Business Monthly as well. I want to show you also what we have on the front page of Newsweek and the Time magazine as well. Let's try and see if I can grab a copy also of the Nairobi Law Monthly. But it seems a lot of my magazines or the papers also have been corrupted. This is the latest copy of the new Newsweek. You're right, stress is making you sick. That is the latest copy that we have today. The world's best hospitals as well that are tucked away inside the latest copy of the Newsweek. I want to show you also what we have on the front page of the Time magazine as well. And this is what is on the front page of the Time magazine. This is the international edition, known by our deeds. A year after Christchurch, Jacinda Ardern has the world's attention. How will she use it? That is a question. And also, I can show you now the US edition as well, if I have it here, just briefly, or it has been corrupted by most of them. That's how it is. Let me just leave it at that briefly. But now we have the laughter and liberty for you, which is up next. All right, I'm trying to retrieve them there for you quickly. Interesting, the challenges of technology sometimes. Now, I cannot be able to read Mandarin because I can see a lot of them, they've just turned out to Mandarin as it is right now. I'll try and retrieve for you that quickly. Okay. So I'll try and retrieve they are all scattered all over here. All right, for the interest of time, let me just show you what we have on the front page of the raw copy, or this actually the copy of the Nairobi Law Monthly. Tyrants in life, saints in death, Moi last laugh, I should say, how Kibaki Uhuru blunders defied a man many called a despot. This is the latest copy of the Nairobi Law Monthly. Of course, this is not in the laughter and levity This is just part of the publications as well that we have for you. But since now it has been corrupted, I will leave it at that. I will play it much later in the course of the program as we discuss with the panelists as well. But we still keep our eyes, or we are keeping our eyes on the coronavirus update, where the government will launch county emergency centers for the coronavirus, according to the Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe. The decision is important in order to ensure each and every Kenyan's health is safeguarded. Kagwe spoke after the National Emergency Response Committee members drawn from various ministries met to assess and ensure Kenya's preparedness.
Between ourselves, the national government, and the Council of Governors, therefore the county governments, we are going to be coordinated so that activities within the counties can also be ready. We are going to establish emergency response units in each of the counties. What we are rolling out is not just information on what happens if you get unwell and so on, because we don't want panic. The best way of reducing levels of panic is for people to know that we are ready. And we are ready not just at a government level, but at nationwide citizen level. There is no measure that is being taken elsewhere in the world that we are not prepared to do here to secure our people. Nobody at all. I don't think, not just the government, no Kenyan wants to hear that, there is a death that has occurred as a result. Whether we should evacuate the students is still on the table. It is one of the things that we discussed. We will consult through our embassy in China and our foreign affairs ministry here, how we are going to proceed forward and how we feel about the whole thing and the risks involved, because we also don't want to bring so many people together that perhaps we be infected and those who are not infected within China itself. We are going to publish information on the issue of self-quarantining. Why would we do this? Going forward, your guess is as good as ours. What is going to happen to this disease, to this condition and disease globally? It might come to a time when even we in offices might have to go and self-quarantine ourselves. If there is an outbreak somewhere in an estate here in Nairobi, we might ask people to self-quarantine themselves. And we would expect some measure of serious discipline if we were to do so.
Now, national carrier Kenya Airways now seeks to shift blame for its decision to suspend a member of staff for filming and sharing on social media video clips of the arrival of a China Southern Airlines plane at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport on Thursday last week. In a statement shared out via its social media, Kenya Airways says it took the action at the prompting of the Kenya Airports Authority, which complained that Gire Ali's actions constituted a breach of security. Beyond that, the airline has assured that the investigation into Gire's action will be conducted with the utmost speed and in a fair and transparent manner. It has also sought to emphasize that Gire remains on full pay. Gire remains on full pay for the duration of his suspension, but that has done little to counter the public backlash that followed Gire's suspension. Gire's defenders viewing his action as those of a whistleblower exposing a corrupt system and viewing his suspension as an act of repression. At a press conference on Saturday, Gire's through lawyer Dunstan Omari said he will be moving to court to challenge the suspension on Monday, which is today. Right, I just want to hear also a snippet of what our panelists have to say regarding this particular development and the suspension of Gire as well as, the whistleblower. Do you find that it was fair for him to be suspended on that particular note? Let's hear from Gladys Bostrile and also Pogisho, Samuel Pogisho. Good morning. Gladys?
It's about the suspension?
Yes, let's begin from there. And just the whole situation about coronavirus.
I think I listened to what the minister was saying. He has not explained to us why it has taken them how many days since we first heard about corona. That was the first comprehensive statement we had from the government. And I didn't really hear a solid strategy about it. I heard them talking about self-quarantine. We know we are indisciplined Kenyans, so how do you expect people to self-quarantine? He has used a word like, I guess, as good, your guess is as good as mine. That's disappointing from a Minister of Health. He says we do not want to have panic, but remember, panic happens only when people don't have knowledge. I would have seen a situation where the first day Corona was talked about, that is the time they should have reacted. You don't need an interministerial task force to deal with it. It should have been a matter of course by the Ministry of Health automatically with their institutions. Remember, there's a whole setup under the Ministry of Health. We have experts in Kenya, I think they call them virologists, who study virus.
Yes.
We should have been seeing that happening with professionals. Don't bring the cabinet, because what happens if they focus now on the emergency of Corona? Suppose there's an emergency of locusts, then they'll have another interministerial committee of the same members of parliament. Same cabinet members. It should be automatically the relevant ministries and institutions should have kicked into action. And I've expected that I would have seen the army are able to build temporary houses, and they have budgets for that. Where if they were to go, if they went into war. So that's when you actually, the army puts up temporary housing in a matter of days and sets up a hospital where people are taken. I would have wanted to see a picture of that particular secluded hospital with our health workers in full protective clothing and say, anyone who suspect they have the following symptoms, come to us. But to wait until, is it yesterday they made the statement? Yes. So I haven't seen the statement, and then he says, we are going to set up. I wanted to hear, we have set up, right? So when you tell us what you're planning to do, and we are still in discussion, several days later, this is several weeks after we heard about the coronavirus. So I think they should just step up their game. It's below average.
Right. Let's hear from Samuel Pogiso. Good to see you.
Thank you very much, Deval, and good morning. I think one of the things that we've said, having actually ventilated on these matters in the Senate, even just both the local situation and now this more serious one. And what I said even there is that government is not visible. They are not communicating. I think the Wananchi are not even able to pronounce this thing, which by now everybody should be able to pronounce, as because a very serious matter. And imagine it took the efforts of Parliament to bring ministers to the House to clarify things, just for clarity. And if parliamentarians are not clear on it, then you imagine what the ordinary Mwananchi is going through, agonizing. And we're telling them there's a disease. What kind of disease is this? It's coming. It's hurting everybody. It's so fast. It's spreading very fast. Do you expect people not to get scared by that kind of what they see in the social media, what they see in the electronic and print media? You know, so we have a situation in our hands that we are not responding as fast as we think we should really be responding. Now that our friend of mine has become the Minister for Health, Mutai Kagwe, sometimes this is why I think it's important to have people who can actually speak on the issue. If you see who is speaking, you realize that people who have actually had a tint in politics or alive in politics, they kind of come out communicating better. And so there's a need for that to be the general story in government. And so we wish him well, congratulating him and wishing him well. But please, don't tell us. Don't tell us you're going to do. Just do it. We want to see. We want to see in West Pokot that the hospital there has set up a space. In every county, something has been done to show that we are prepared in case one of these cases show up. And this is a very complex world, by the way. With those of us who live along the borders, we're so scared because our borders can be so porous. And you don't know where somebody is going to enter from, you know, and so we need to secure our borders for this kind of emergency, seriously. And of course, we all say that this business of that aircraft was a big mistake. Yes. And so dealing with a young man who was a whistleblower, so it was whistleblowers everywhere, get in trouble. I mean, you know that. It was, especially when they're dealing with government.
This was only in Kenya.
They get in trouble. If you look at the U.S. also, remember the U.S. blowers, some of them lost their jobs. And so it is very interesting that maybe there is some security breach. And I worked also in that sector myself. So I understand what KQ is saying about breach of security. But in a time of scare and emergency, please don't show that the guy was being punished for alerting us of this thing. So, I mean, it's a way you communicate.
It's a way you communicate.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say from Richard Onyonka,
Yes.
the repercussions that the guy, Mr. Giri, is going through right now, the suspension. Do you think it's really called for? Briefly.
I think the gentleman, according to me, is a true hero. More Kenyans need to raise such issues. I can assure you that that clip was a game changer in terms of it coming out. And indeed, there are many Kenyans who are also raising those issues as to what the government was not doing. Dibala, I can tell you that that issue, some of us had actually raised it. I think, like I posted it on my Twitter account
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I said, why is our government allowing Chinese planes to land in Kenya? And that question is very simple. We didn't know, if up to now, we don't know what that disease is. We don't know the implications and how you would treat it. Even the Chinese are having a problem with it. The Americans are now worried about it. Look at what has happened to the stock market in the US. So these are all issues which a proactive government should have been there immediately this crisis started. And we need to look at ourselves that way. Kenya is supposed to be a country where we have qualified personnel. We are always a country where we figure out what to do.
Yes.
And on several occasions, we really disappoint ourselves. And in this case, we really, really disappointed ourselves. Because if you look out there, the way Madam Sholea said and my Senator Pogisha said, a government, when something as substantive and as heavy as this comes out,
Yes.
the government must be on top of it. The government might say, we are aware this is happening, we are trying to do something about it, this is what we are doing, and this is what our expectation is supposed to be. So again, you have this dysfunctionality within Jubilee, which I don't understand. I don't know whether we are too involved into our current politics right now, and nobody wants to work, but you see, Dibal, people who are picked to run government are not politicians, all right? So you would have expected that the interaction and the engagement would have been deeper than it is right now. And yet, or again, the other problem you had is there was a reshuffle, you had Madam Cicely Kariuki being
the handover
moved.
could have
So the
been-
handover could
Right.
have created
A relay sort of.
Yes, a vacuum. But I think our government needs to
Thank
do
you.
better, and we need to pull our socks.
Thank you.
And make sure that we are actually in control
Haman
of this
Manyora.
issue.
Dibal,
Let's
one
wait
thing that viewers must know that is important.
No,
we
just a
may have
moment.
stopped
Let's hear from
passenger
Haman.
flights.
We'll come to you.
It will
Yeah.
help the conversation because the passenger flights have been stopped, but the cargo coming into the country from China has not been stopped. The cargo could be carrying the virus. No one has told us about that.
All right. Also, I think Okong'o Omogeni alluded to the fact that we have Ethiopian Airlines also coming or making the routes via also JKA as well. Let's wind up also with Haman Manyora and Okong'o Omogeni on this.
Two quick things before I talk about the coronavirus, but related. One, government must move whoever is responsible to reinstate that man who was sacked, because government should not be seen to be hiding something. It is dangerous at these times. Reinstate that man and end the story. Number two, let's not blame government officials for not operating. In this country, nobody is ever hired to work. You have been long enough in this country. They never look for people who are capable. They never hire people to work. And if you attempt to show you didn't understand that script when you are employed, the Sholeis and the rest are here to tell you you'll be shown the door. PLO told us. Now look at CEO. They are looking for a CEO of the city. You say this city is in problems. Do you think they are going to hire somebody like Philip Kisha who has shown he can do it? They are going to come up with some crook from somewhere and give him the job. So let's not blame anybody for not performing. They never hire you to perform. They never even scout for people to perform. Now, on this coronavirus debate, government's first duty and responsibility is to its citizens. So when you are relating with the foreigners, you must relate with the foreigners in a manner to show the citizens that you understand government's first responsibility is to its citizens. Look here, and I'm asking government to be very careful. Government is going to make Kenyans hate foreigners, especially Chinese, in the manner in which they are behaving. You know, government is akin to a man who has mature children and brings a small wife in the family. If you become overprotective of this small girl you have brought, nobody will accept him in that family. You see, if there's very little food, you think she's the only one who should eat. Government is showing obvious preference towards the interest of foreigners. And this is, I'm repeating this. It is not in the interest of government. It's not in the interest of those foreigners you are trying to protect, to overprotect. Because we want Kenyans to interact with the foreigners very well. We want our Chinese to continue being our partners, our brothers, our sisters. You know, because they are doing such a wonderful job in this country. But don't set Kenyans against the Chinese and other foreigners by doing the kind of things government has been doing. I hope Mutahi Kagwe, who I have confidence in, will move and try to advise government. And I know that doesn't happen. You never advise government when you are given a job. Government wants to advise you what to do. But I hope government is listening to me. And if they are listening to me, let them not be overprotective. Let what comes out of whatever they do show Kenyans that it is their interest. And right now, I was doing my barber's business, Kinyozi. I don't go to a spa like Onyonka because I'm a small man. Small people there were saying things. I say, kumbe hawa Kenya wanaelewa maneno. They were saying this. What happens if this coronavirus hit Kawangware? You see how they are saying? Look at the city of Nairobi. Look at how crowded it is. Look at the traffic jam. These are villagers who are small little fellows. Say, look at the traffic jam in Nairobi. Look at crowded slums in the... What are we saying if this thing hit us? Are we really prepared? So government must know their concerns, and government must address the concerns of Kenyans as a way of building confidence. But I must not end before I repeat this. Don't appear to be there to serve the interest of foreigners. Show Kenyans they come number one, and then we relate well with our foreigners.
Thank you.
Iran, if you see the moves America has taken in the past 2-3 days, then you can understand what our country does if it sees and senses a problem and a danger. We don't seem to have sensed the danger. We hope this thing doesn't go far. I hope the doctors who are saying we are resistant are right. That in Africa, nothing. I hope that's the case. I really hope. Because if this thing came here, honestly, it will wipe all of us.
It will. Right. Okong'o,
which is bad.
Which is
unfortunate.
First, I think, Dibal, we should all accept that we have a responsibility as Kenyans to send warnings if there is a feeling that there is some danger. And I think what the young man was doing, he was trying to send an alert to Kenyans that, look, there is this plane that is coming in from China and it could pose a danger to the people of Kenya. I don't think the way you react to such a Kenyan is to sack him. I think really even if you invoke the Constitution, Article 47, what has happened to that young man is unfair, and I hope that if he's not reinstated, he can move to court and we get an intervention from court. But you know what is also worrying me is I've heard Madam Sholei speak about cargo. I don't know about Mombasa, the tourists who are coming into Kenya. I don't know whether we have put in place measures to ensure that we are sure where are these ships coming from. Have they passed through Europe? Do we have people from China? What about the chartered flights?
From Italy.
You know, from Italy, and I'm sure about 3 come into Mombasa every week. You have not had anything, and I think if you read what's happening in Europe now, Italy is really the center of that epidemic. Have we put in place measures to ensure that these planes coming in, we have a way of ensuring that we subject these visitors into some serious medical examination, and if they have symptoms, we can keep them in safe places? Because last I read it was we had a bed capacity of 14. and the planes 11, and the planes are coming in with over 200 passengers. I think we really need to be on alert. I read that in some countries like Japan, I think it's Japan, they have closed schools.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So this thing is not a joke. You know, you can't just be a minister who says you are prepared. Do you understand the kind of danger that this country
followed?
Yeah?
Yesterday,
You know,
another country.
in fact, even when you talk about tourism in Mombasa, in Japan, they have closed a number of these tourist attraction centers. They are not working. So even as a country, we need to, it's not just about saying we want tourists in Mombasa. Do the coming of these tourists pose a danger to us as a people?
Thank you.
Well, there's a point that I wanted just to mention a little bit. It's about this self-quarantine. Self-quarantine. You know, we are assuming that everybody who comes to our airports has a home where they have personal rooms and they can actually shut themselves out and separate from the neighbors and so on. This is amazing. They need to know that there is no way African societies can self-quarantine. I mean, you will definitely live with people. They will definitely move around with people. It's difficult for people to self-quarantine. You're assuming that these guys live in upmarket areas, where they have their own compound, where they have their own house or room. This is not going to work. And so they need to understand that. Look, take the case where we've said, supposing it breaks out in one of our slums, whatever you call them. Surely, what self-quarantine can a Kenyan do there? I mean, so the words of self-quarantine should really be removed from our voice. Set up places where you put these people for 14 days so that we are confident that they're not coming in contact with anybody.
Right.
But small point.
Yeah, we need to take a short break.
Very small point.
Yeah, please.
You notice we are continuing with the BBI rallies. And it's like nothing is happening.
Nothing's happening. We don't know anything.
Shouldn't we look at it and say maybe we need to make a stop for now until we can figure out what the implications of all this is?
But let's see also what politicians... Just a moment. Let's see.
In your interest and the interest of this station and in our own interest, it must not be seen that we are spreading fear, because fear is worse than the disease itself. That's what WHO is saying. We are only saying, let us apply the necessary caution. Not fear, not rumors. We are not scaring anybody. We are responsible citizens, but we are asking government to do whatever it takes to first to give Kenyans the confidence that there's government in charge. You see that team in America, director of this, director of that, headed by none other than the Vice President of America. That is the level of seriousness I want to see.
And you see, they're using the technocrats.
Yes.
They're using the experts.
Yes.
They're using the secretary
And they are
of
giving
that,
briefings.
not an interministerial committee.
And they are giving briefings. And you see, when the president gives room to that small short guy, the director of whatever it is, to speak, you can see the confidence. And the press is asking very serious questions. And these guys are responding.
Thank you.
I want us to move in that direction.
Right.
Yeah.
As we're winding up on that particular session, we shall continue on the other side of a break. We have Njeri Wamai saying thanks NTV and the rest of the legacy media in highlighting this, because it was the media that catalyzed the whistleblower's video and everyone understood the seriousness of the Kenyan government's laxity. I urge the media to be diligent and follow up on UK order. Also, that is Uhuru Kenyatta's order. And also we have Kakamega Finance on Twitter saying that I didn't take the effort, or it didn't take the effort of Parliament, as Senator Pogisio is saying on COVID-19. It took the effort of Kenyans, especially the critique of government by Kenyans on social media. Government is currently dancing the BBI tune. That is what also Kakamega Finance is thinking this morning. We continue to take your views on social media. AM11TV is a Twitter handle, AM11TV our profile name on Facebook, and 20686 our SMS portal. Also, you can follow me at Dibala Nair. Don't go away, much more coming up on the other side of a break.
It's 8:52 in the morning.
You know,
KSS is the perfect destination for information, entertainment, and laughter, bringing a refreshing perspective to Kenyan television every weekday morning. Let's get revving. Welcome to Sun City Resort, South Africa. We create an environment that leads to moments of unpredictable fun that reflect on everyday people, celebrities, and experts in various fields that touch on your day-to-day lifestyle. So why not join me, Sharon Mundia, every weekday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. as I seek to liven up your morning.
Building tips for general construction should be bought from reliable sources, should not get dry before the specific curing time given for best results, must be kept certified. Exactly 50 kilograms guaranteed in each bag.
Adding strength to Kenya's landmarks, power for specialized constructions, cementing the nation's future. Simba Cement, the strength and pride of Kenya.
Now also produced in Nakuru and Mombasa.
Back around to some politics right now, looking back at what was happening over the weekend with the BBI, and of course also we've tried to put together some of the voices from the podium there that is happening on the soapbox.
Hatuwezi ongea mambo ya siasa wakati chakula yetu inakuliwa na nzige. Hatuwezi ongea mambo ya siasa wakati kawa yetu bei ni kama ya kutupa. Hatuwezi ongea mambo ya siasa wakati majani yetu haina bei.
Kila mtu kura yake ni moja. Kura ya moja isiwe moja, mwingine yake iwe na dhamana ya 20 times that times. Lazima kura iwe value ni moja na resources iwe zinagawanwa vizuri kwa kila Mkenya, ndio kila eneo iendelee.
Tunasema tupunguze zile viti ziko chini, tuongeze pale juu, tuunganishe nchi, tuwe na sura ya Kenya.
Tukitaka kuunganisha Kenya, tuache utapeli, kila mmoja apate nafasi ya kusema ile anataka kusema kwa Kenya.
Ile tumekubaliana ya kwamba lazima katiba ibadilishwe. Tuhakikishe ya kwamba maoni ya kila mwananchi imeangaliwa sawa sawa.
Sasa baba, shika watu wote wa Kenya na hata sisi wa Mount Kenya utusahau, sisi sote tufike Canaan.
Jamii ya Wagema, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta na Raila Odinga na hawa viongozi ambaye wako hapa, it is a sure bet.
Tukibadilisha hii katiba, ikikuja katiba mpya, haizuii Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta kuchukua kiti.
The town hall meetings that precede BBI public rallies are by invitation only and therefore remain a closed affair. Because we think these rallies are just for a chorus of public endorsement where contrary opinion is unwelcome. If it's a popular initiative, we are all aware that the million signatures required are yet to be collected. They are yet to be verified by IEBC, if at all, before the process can be released for debate by the county assemblies. Therefore, talking of a referendum by June is a pipe dream.
Ile mambo ya mtu anashikwa na shetani, anaanza kuongea mambo ya kiongozi Uhuru Kenyatta katika eneo la Mount Kenya, kuanzia leo tunasema ikome.
Kama unaona kiongozi wetu wako mbele na mashika bendera, unapotea ukielekea wapi na unaona pali bendera imeelekea?
Sisi watu ya Kiambu hatutaruhusu tena mtu yeyote ambaye atakuja kutokuwa na heshima kwa rais wetu.
All right, that is what was happening over the weekend. I also should see what is in the front page of Standard today. Scramble for Kenya. A fresh start. It has. BBI presents the country's biggest political moment since the 2010 referendum. We are on the cusp of a new Kenya, and this is how it is shaping up. The story is tucked on page 6 and 7 of the Standard today. Let's hear from Onyonka, and for them that are also down on the ground as well as far as the BBI rally is concerned. What is your reading so far?
My reading is, I was actually in that rally. I attended that rally. 3 interesting things took place. Number one, in the morning, as you got to the place and you listened and asked a few individuals who were in that rally, people have good faith and goodwill that the BBI is actually trying to solve the quote-unquote problems which are Kenyan. And these problems come in from what you've heard. I don't have to repeat. Then there was the second message that I got, which is there's a general feeling that is coming out right now that indeed, like many have said, that this exercise is all about preparing Kenyans to accept that Uhuru is not going to step aside after he finishes his term of 2 terms. Number 2, that this exercise is actually purely set up to stop William Ruto from ascending to the presidency or whatever he wants to do. And number 3, that the general view that is existing out there is that even when we could be trying to solve the problems of Kenya, the third element of this scenario is that you are preparing Kenyans for former Prime Minister Raila Odinga to actually become the next president of Kenya. My feeling is that makes us the lesser. In other words, there is now a convoluted general feeling out there that we are no longer talking about actually what BBI is supposed to do. Whether it's supposed to solve the issue of our elections, which have been historically having a problem, whether you are talking about the economic downturn and issues which are affecting our country, whether you are talking about the general feeling in Kenya that we actually need to change our country for the next movement ahead. If you ask me as a politician, I actually don't know how I would balance between the political aspect which is coming out where politicians are positioning themselves and readying themselves for whatever positions that are going to come, and indeed trying to solve the problems which exist in our country, which need immediate intervention politically or otherwise, whether it means we're changing the constitution or otherwise. But as a whole, I saw issues being raised by the Mount Kenya community. Some of them were really incredible ideas. They were very, very good ideas. People are saying, look, we need this, we need that. People with disabilities, women are coming up with very, very ingenious ways on how they want this to be changed. My feeling is that if I was right now advising former Prime Minister Raila, I would actually tell him, sir, here you are preparing Kenyans that we need to change the political matrix and the political destiny of our country so that we can have a government that is going to be more inclusive, that is going to be fair, that is going to be a just government for the future of our country. But at the same, the interpretation that you're getting now is that really this thing, as William Ruto's team has been saying, you guys are preparing yourselves for the seats which are coming tomorrow. And indeed, the reason why you're holding those meetings is because you want to stop William Ruto. The final point I wanted to make is that my observation in those rallies, I know that Murkomen and Moses Kuria and the team that is behind the deputy president are actually coming out, fighting back so that they can have their own space. But what it does mean, obviously, then is I think this team of the deputy president has decided that there may be no more goodwill between the president's team and the deputy president's team. And if it means Nimbaya, Nimbaya, and they are going to go out there and ruffle the feathers and raise discontent. Of course, you saw the crowd behavior. I was there, and the messaging you are getting is that money exchanged hands the previous night. And therefore, it was choreographed and designed in such a manner that when Murkomen finished the discussion, the people would then walk out. But in terms of the people who had been there and who were listening to the messaging, it was very effective.
Right.
But
Thank you.
It is again taking us back to where we've been.
So money was exchanged. You don't have any stitch of evidence?
No, I don't have the evidence. I mean, I'm a politician, Dibal. You can tell when a section of the crowd, after some point, you see people then
But how
shifting.
do you just assume that the money was exchanged because
No, I'm saying, let me change that. Most probably.
Most probably.
Money may have exchanged.
So this is just a matter of semantics. Let's hear from Herman Manyora. Your reaction?
Why are you skipping her?
I'm just going with the sequence.
Okay,
No, it's the sequence, so that you don't say that. I'm going with the sequence of how they came.
I must begin my observation by reacting to this, by making my observations about this 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote, 1 something. Because it's the other narrative of 1 kilometer. We have to be careful as a country. Let us not use this opportunity to divide the country further. Let us not rub salt in the wound of those Kenyans who have suffered since independence. It is common sense, and even a child will tell you, there are some parts of this country that were left behind. Now that with devolution and with the newfound spirit of almost nationhood, we want to bring our brothers from these remote areas, northeastern, Turkana, on board so that they don't say, I'm going to Kenya. When that opportunity has come, some people are now talking of 1 shilling, that they must stop with immediate effect. It is a dangerous narrative for this country. Extremely dangerous. Look, because other people now say, fine, let us have 1 shilling, 1 man, 1 vote, fine. But let's look at the balance sheet. Because the balance sheet has both the debit and the credit side. Let us look at what historically you people have enjoyed that others have not enjoyed and make good for other people. Number 2, in that kind of constitution, we shall then make it very clear that if the president comes from this community, the deputy should come from the other. If the CS of this is, we must make it very clear, because people have enjoyed the fruits of this country because they position themselves, when they are in power, they put their people in those strategic ministries and the parastatal, so that they have been perpetuating a kind of hegemony in which they have been enjoying advantages over others. And now when we are about to do something about that, they are telling us they should stop that narrative. It's dangerous for the country. Let us move as Kenyans together. Let us bring on board our brothers who are left behind with whatever means we can afford. Now, on the BBI rally, we must admit there seems to be something like, okay, these rallies are dividing the country, or these rallies are pro this, these rallies are... But overall, I still believe in the BBI idea. The BBI idea is noble. But with something of this magnitude, there will always be a few issues. Let us not allow those issues to crowd and to smoke something that I think is good. BBI is a good idea. Let's embrace it, because those who say about milk, and please, milk and coffee and all the good things, I have this to tell them. If you don't fix your politics, all these good things you are talking about, you won't fix them. If BBI intends to fix our politics, then everything else will fall in place. Let's support BBI to the point that it intends to fix our politics, which in turn will mean all the things we are complaining about will be sorted. That's my thinking.
So when we're talking about fixing the politics, what does it really mean at the end of the day? Is it now really going with what we're seeing, the structures of new positions, that is fixing politics? Is that the prime solution, or Okong'o Mogany?
Yeah, I mean, you heard I think when we were here last week, you heard even Madame Cholet saying there are some very good proposals coming out of BBI. And one of them is, you know, if you are watching TV, you heard people in Mount Kenya saying that we even want losers to also walk home happy. Meaning that if we entrench this idea of having official leader of opposition leading his troops from parliament, you would be fixing our politics. Because what we have been saying over and over again is that There is a feeling that the moment you are a loser in a presidential race, then you are locked out of active politics in this country. And I think one of the good solutions I'm seeing, and there was even an attempt by Parliament to amend the Constitution to bring the leader of official opposition to Parliament, is that we are saying it's not just about being a president. You can also get an alternative position to serve the country by being a leader of official position. But I think the good side of these rallies, I can tell you, Dibal, I was watching people like Reitu telling Raila Odinga, Baba, welcome to Mount Kenya. People like Peter Munya. And I said that for once, this country is really seeing the true fruits of the handshake. Before handshake, I can assure you there is no way Raila Amolo Odinga would have gone to Mount Kenya, received by Kiraitu Murungi, ride on the same car to a stadium. I think that is very, very positive. If not for anything else, that fact that people are now saying you can disagree politically, but you can still come and sit on a table to discuss an issue that is for the best interest of this country. On the other side, I don't know, but for the people who support the DP, I think the Bible says that pride comes before a fall. I didn't like the tone that I saw from Senator Murkomen. You know, those words saying, kuna watapeli katika hizi rally, you know, and then, you know, walking out of that rally with Moses Kuria. And if you listened, this MP from East Africa, Mpuru Apuri, you know, he said, you have come to Meru, you have shown disrespect to us, you have walked out of us, but my brother, we are warning you, you will come back again to beg us. I think if I were in that camp of DP, it's good to play humble politics at times, especially when you go to people's backyard. Just sit there. You have been given a chance. You have expressed yourself. Don't show disrespect. Even if you come to Kisii, I expect you to sit with us. We say what we have to say, and then after we finish the rally, we shake hands and walk away.
Thank you.
So I think if we want to build on this handshake thing, let's agree that we don't have the same views. You will have divergent views, but let me defend your right to say your views, and you also respect my right to say my views.
Thank you. Let's hear from Gladys.
Yes, I think what is happening with the BBI rallies is making me laugh, because it's exactly what we feared about BBI. It's coming to pass. When the report came out in Bomas, it was a report that I eventually said I agree with it, because it says what's wrong with Kenya, and let's go on and implement it. The trouble has begun when they have gone to the BBI 2 rallies, and now they've come out boldly. What they didn't achieve in BBI 1, they are attempting to achieve in BBI 2. It is now clear to Kenyans, and I want Kenyans to get this loud and clear. BBI 2 is about positions. It's about individuals ascending into power through the back door. It's about individuals amending our constitution in order to accommodate themselves. It is nothing to do with Kenyans. It will not improve our economy. It will not provide jobs for our youth. It will provide jobs for some particular bigwigs who are well off, and none of them suffer from unemployment, and their children are employed, or their children have businesses that they've created for them. But it has nothing to do with the poor man. So the BBI rally is what they call, in political science, creating a mood of acceptance. When you keep telling him there's going to be a prime minister, when Otwali says, where is Uhuru going? He's young, atasumbua watu wengine. We must amend the constitution to accommodate him. So we have been told this is direct from Atwali, that this is about extending the term of the president. If you listen to what Governor Mandago says, they want to extend the term of governors who are finishing off their second term. You've seen the standard headline. They all have set out their positions. When some of them are speaking so loudly there at BBI, when they are saying, we want to create more seats and put people on more power. If we want to have inclusivity, remember the presidency and the deputy president are not the only positions. We can easily say, if the president is from one community, the deputy president should come from a different community, and each and every minister should be each from a different community. Each and every cabinet assistant secretary should come from a different community. Each and every PS. Believe me, between the positions of PS, CAS, and the president and deputy president and cabinet secretary, today as it is, if we distributed those seats for people from different communities, we will accommodate every Kenyan. And when they say they want to go to a referendum, I always said you can only go to a referendum if you want to change 6 articles. But it is now clear from this headline and this structure that they've created that that is what they wanted to do and be able. I have taken the position that if we want to accommodate the second person who got the second highest number of votes, make them official leader of opposition. Create a position for them in parliament. And all those changes that I'm talking about are capable of being amended without going to a referendum. And let us look at what happened in the BBI rallies in, because let's stop kidding ourselves. We are cheating Kenyans. This whole show is a facade. When you look at it, is that look at the way they put Raila in traditional regalia to make a feeling that he is now been declared the leader of the area that he visited. Look at the way people are saying, I'm a tribal chief. Look at the tribal clothes they are wearing inside on that show. And then dancing. How does that resolve the problems of Kenyans? That's why I said, tell me about coronavirus and locusts. There is more energy that has been spent on BBI rallies and more money than spent on coronavirus, locusts, and the problem that up to today, the National Cereals Board in Eldoret has not been opened. Up to today, the subsidized fertilizer is not on the market.
Thank you, Gladys.
Let me finish this. And when let me talk about the actual BBI rally. I want you to look at the clips of the BBI rally. Look at the number of school buses that had ferried people. They are not school buses from Meru. Look at the names of the schools on the, and this is on picture, I don't want to say it. You have the pictures. I want the media to play it. When you ferry people from Kirinyaga, when you ferry people from Western, when you ferry people from Nyanza, people from Coast to come to Meru, who are the Meru people are not there. If it's a Meru affair, just ferry people from within areas of Meru to come to one central point. And then, and also, why spend money to ferry people if you're coming to talk to the people on their own ground? And the story, and Honorable Onyanka, when you're talking about that this was seen as to stop William Ruto, first of all, no one but ordinary Kenyans can stop William Ruto. It is not anyone in a BBI rally. It is the people who vote that make that decision. We are beginning to forget that it is us who are. So this BBI has divided Kenyans more than it has ever been.
Let's leave it at that.
And so all this is optics.
Hold it, Gladys. We hear also from Samuel Pogiso, and we continue.
Thank you. Let me pick up from where Gladys has left. I think the biggest problem is the optics. And optics, by the way, is what you see. When you see the BBI rally, it definitely, people who are supporting William Ruto as DP cannot accept the optics, what they see on TV. It becomes a problem. Where Raila is the one who's kind of the leader of this thing. And I've said this even in a rally. Of course, I was there in the rally as well, and I saw the shenanigans and the things that was happening there. I have said that if you do not understand the handshake, you can never accept the BBI. Because the handshake is what created the BBI. And unless you go back to that where we all said we support the handshake between Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta. Those are the basics of BBI. It's not the optics thereafter. Secondly, Dibal, it is what happens in the documents presented by those communities. If we only focus on that, of course, then the media will focus on the politics around it. The media will take pictures and we see. They cannot be the basis of our conclusions. But if you really focused on the document given by Mount Kenya East people, that document should have been the one that was been focused. Kenyans would understand that Kenyans are talking to each other. The same document which was given by the Ma community in Narok, it is not Meru only. It was actually a whole consortium of places. So I just wanted to say that one of the things that you must understand, if your heart is not ready to accept that handshake, you can't understand BBI. You cannot actually approve of BBI. You will always critical. Now, number two, I'm beginning to understand, even from Gladys, my sister here, I'm beginning to understand that there's already opposition to BBI.
BBI 2, not BBI 1.
Well, BBI is still BBI. There is actually opposition to it. And if you look at what Murkomen said, it was exactly the language of Deputy President in another clip that you're showing over here. Exact those words. They are beginning to wonder, why BBI instead of doing development? And then given optics again, I see a picture here of Deputy President in a church. I still see that picture, holding millions of shillings in his hand. And putting not before putting in the basket, a picture has to be taken, of that thing. I said, those optics are not good anymore. I think also, like you would advise even anybody, like you would advise Raila. I mean, I would also advise William Ruto. What are all these optics? Thinking that those donations is development is not necessarily the truth. And so let's also speak to each other the truth about BBI. BBI is about that handshake that began. And the spirit of that handshake carries BBI. That's why everybody is coming on board. People are coming on board. The other thing on the money, which I think Professor Manyora raised, and I want to say the what you call sharing of resources. We must again speak to each other and come up with a formula that accommodates everybody. Right now, everybody's giving their formula. There is 1 kilometer, 1 shilling, and then there is all this one vote. It will eventually come to an agreed formula where everybody benefits. And I think that it will be done that way so that both sides, or 3 sides, whatever side it is, can benefit. Population plays a big role. And there are more youth where there's more population. So I would understand when people demand more money in certain areas. The thing that we must agree as BBI is devolution must stay, devolution must be stronger, and devolution must be down at the ward level so that people, everybody benefits, or even beyond, I mean, even below ward level. And I think if we did that, all these shenanigans, all these optics about what we see in the rallies, look at the documents given specifically by those groups.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. So Deputy President William Ruto wants politicians to include the voice of Kenyans in the BBI report as the public's opinion is important because they have issues they want addressed. And Ruto also has accused politicians of conning the public through the BBI report and the process as it is now. Of course, this was happening over the weekend. Let's just listen in and then we shall continue with that debate.
Hii mjadala ya BBI haiwezi kuwa ya wanasiasa na viongozi peke yao. Hii mjadala ya BBI hata mama mboga ako na maoni. Hata mtu ya bodaboda ako na maoni. Hata mtu makanga ako na maoni, asikizwe. Hata yake ni ya muhimu kwa sababu taifa hii ni yetu sisi wote.
Also looking in the Standard today, Ruto tells of Raila over the BBI rallies, and he says, and he's reiterated that the BBI meetings led by Raila have lost favor among Kenyans. Richard Onyoka, your reaction?
You know, I've always said William is very clever. That message of his is targeting basically what he calls the hustler nation, where he is trying to send a message to the disenfranchised, the unemployed Kenyan youth, so that he can bring them on board to his side so that they can begin to reason with him, so that then you create disenchantment and discontent with the BBI arrangement. But the truth is, William knows that in politics, any politics, sometimes leaders take the front burner, leaders come, I mean, if you look at the constitution which was drafted in Kenya, it is the political class that deliberately had to sit down, come up with the changes that were necessary. Number 2, the narrative is giving where he says that the ordinary mwananchi is not being involved. The truth is, Dibal, when we were in Kisii, we actually engaged most people, the teaching fraternity, you had the Kupet, you had the women representatives, you had Mandela, you had really a semblance, not even a reality that many people came, and we engaged ourselves 2 days towards the meeting, and we finally came up with the draft resolutions which were handed over to the BBI. I think largely this exercise, again, confirms and proves what William's detractors have said, and that is, unless
what does William's detractors mean? His supporters?
Let him finish, Gladys.
No, the people who don't agree with him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, detractors are the people who don't agree with him. Those people who don't agree with him say he's against what Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta wants. He has therefore declared himself a non-engaging politician in terms of his responsibility as a deputy president.
But you've mentioned, and of course I can hear all of you talking about optics.
Yes.
What we are getting is that politics is all about perception.
That is true.
That this is not mwananchi driven. This is politician driven.
No,
and that's what we have here on the Scramble for Kenya. It's all about position. And this is the position that is being advanced by Gladys. This is their side.
Yeah.
And I want also you to comment on the fact that he's saying that a BBI-led rally by Raila
yes.
is losing favor with Kenyans.
That is his opinion. William was, I mean, I don't see any single day for the last 2 years. I haven't seen William anywhere, for example, make a comment where he thinks Raila is worth anything. So I don't expect him to say anything different about Raila now. I mean, the truth, look at the comments. For example, the other day, when Raila gave a comment about William, he said, in fact, I may not have much disagreement with William, but William has been with me and he has even learned and honed his skills around me.
Maybe the question that is certainly coming to bear is, where is Uhuru Kenyatta in this particular metrics?
Uhuru Kenyatta...
Because it's all about the handshake. We understand, of course, he's the head of state as it is right now.
Uhuru
but the BBI is the two of them. So when we have Raila Odinga, who's now looking like a maverick with the BBI, what are we left to think of?
Dibal, Uhuru Kenyatta, as the president of Kenya, cannot come to the BBI rallies because it will be a state function. All right? And Uhuru must act presidential.
So how do we uncouple?
So hold on a minute. So where we are right now, in fact, to me, there are many people who have said that is the opportunity that the deputy president should have taken when this thing came up, so that even when he may have disagreed on what may be what the ultimate end to this game plan was going to be,
thank you,
then the deputy president would have been in that rally, in those rallies, and if it, like in Meru, if the deputy president had been there, he would then have articulated his position on this BBI, and if there were any issues which he disagreed with, because he's the one who would speak last anyway.
Right, we've had also Honorable Raila Odinga saying that, of course, this BBI rallies is all about democratic conversations, right? Why is also maybe the deputy president also missing? We have him now going to Kakamega for a church function. There's a BBI rally happening in Meru. If you're truly in support and you have a divergent view, that is a podium also to come and, you know, express your divergent views as it is right now, right? Haman Manyora?
You know, first, the deputy president is saying that Mama Mboga should be involved. I also observed that he has 2 microphones and he's not sharing with any Mama Mboga there because it is not possible. But more important...
but it can't be that simplistic as you're putting it.
But that's what they are saying.
Of course, it can't be.
Look here.
No president.
It is simply look here. What we are saying.
Someone can put gas and kill them. It's a security protocol.
We are only saying that
all over the world.
We are only saying that the reality is surely not all of us can take the microphone in a BBA rally or in a presidential rally or in DP Ruto's rally. That is common sense. But what perhaps he means is that this thing has been hijacked by Raila and the rest, which is okay. What I want to say is this. From where I sit, I've been looking at this thing, and from the word go, from the handshake, then BBI up to now, I think DP Ruto is not understanding this game very well. Every passing day, he's giving Uhuru and the men in his corner an opportunity to hit at him. You know, now, the game is very clear. How do you get the people to agree with you that Ruto is not a good man? It has succeeded in many parts of the country. It is yet to succeed in Mount Kenya region, where Uhuru Nene Ruto has planted poison. He has the ground with him. So, those from President Uhuru Kenyatta's corner must be laying traps for Ruto to make mistakes. And I can see them beginning to make those mistakes. Look at what Murkomen did. Yes. You don't earn credit from that. You begin to show you are being childish, for example. You begin to show you are desperate. And the way the DP is talking about BB rally, it is very easy for the president's men to sail it to the ground. Look at how disrespectful this guy is to the president himself. Yeah. Now,
who is disrespectful?
The DP. Now, the BBI is about reggae. BBI is about bangi. BBI is about, theft. Those things are not resonating well, and they can be used against him. So my advice to him, he must know that there must be a trap for him. This is politics. You make a mistake, you say bad things. Now look at Eldoret. I've been reading the papers, and I had somebody on this bench say, I will not mention their name, that BBI will not be allowed in Eldoret or Singishu. in the form in which it has taken. You see, that is very
I'm the one who said it.
Oh, it
I
was
said
you.
Tolgos
Oh, I thought it was
will
Alice.
not come and arrange BBI
Yes.
in Wasingishu.
Now, see how-
BBI in Wasingishu will be organized by the leaders
Now,
of
look at the
Wasingishu,
trap. Now-
and only the people of Wasingishu,
Will
not
take charge
leaders,
and not
will
Raila.
speak. Raila
Thank
will
you.
not take the
Sir,
stage.
now.
We'll listen to the people of
Which is
Wasingishu
good.
first.
Which is where I wanted
And
to.
let them, they were supposed to come on 14th of
I'm
February.
happy-
Tuliwangoja hawakukuja.
I'm happy you have clarified.
them come.
You have clarified. What I'm trying to say, you are following the trap. What picture then do you create for Kenyans to see? You end up creating the picture that William Ruto is king only in a small part of this country. Because if BBI rallies have taken place across the country with Raila as the main guest, if you succeed to change that so that BBI in Eldoret is run by the people of Eldoret and the Ruto comes from Eldoret, you are saying Ruto is only somebody in that small space of this
I'm
country,
talking about the local leadership.
which is bad for you. I'm saying these are things you must see.
Thank you.
In fact, where the deputy president comes from is a place where Raila should get the most reception.
As who?
You see what I'm saying? At the heat of this handshake, Uhuru went to Rivertex. There was talk that things were going to happen there. But I was happy for William Ruto because they quickly saw it and they were more than polite. You remember at the heat of the handshake thing, the president went to Rivertex Eldoret and there was talk that he was going to be told stuff. But the guys behaved so well. That is the way you should behave when Raila comes to Eldoret. Then you dispel all these things that you are not, you see, you are falling into a trap.
Thank you.
You have to buy me lunch today. Because
Because
I'm helping you.
Very bad advice.
I think, Ribal, you asked something about the position of the president vis-a-vis the DP. I think if we are to be honest to ourselves, and we are politicians, we know who speaks on behalf of who. The reality is that we are seeing the Ruto camp being more and more anti-BBI. That's the reality. While the president people, if you saw the governors in Mount Kenya, they are all in support of BBI. If you read page 4, I'm seeing a very close ally of the DP, Honorable Kositanyi. He's saying that Raila and the BBI is not welcome to Wasingishu.
See?
And here you are telling people that this BBI is supposed to divide the nation. The people in BBI are trying to divide the country. Now, between these two, who is dividing the country? Who is preaching politics of hatred? If you are telling people that they should not come to Wasingishu, and this is an MP of the party that the deputy president belongs, who is sending fear to Kenyans? If you were in Meru, and you saw what Moses Kuria and Murkomen did, how they behaved, walking away. And then there is Raila, humble with humility. He sat there, listened. As people walked away, he was just there. Whose cause politically? I'll tell you it is Raila whose cause. Because I think DP is sending a message that is invincible. It's like the Arsenal team of 2 or 3, 2 or 4. I can do anything. You can do anything against me. You can organize your rallies. I will not come. And if I come, I can speak, walk away. Politically, that's suicidal. That is, it's like the Greek gods have given him a rope. And every BBI meeting we have is just tightening the noose on his neck. It does not serve his interest well. And I'm telling you, a day in politics means a lot. These people in Mount Kenya, if you had the message there, everybody is saying, we are not going to allow anybody who is abusing the president to do politics in central Kenya. That should be a warning sign. I think the best way, William Ruto started very well. He was very soft at the beginning. Now we are seeing a very confrontational William Ruto. That will not serve his quest for presidency well. I think what I'm seeing is that this BBI is building into another political alliance. And if we are not careful, it will sweep so many people along the way. So going forward, if I were to be in William Ruto's camp, please start smelling the coffee, join the BBI team. This thing is unstoppable. This thing enjoys the support of the president and the majority of the political leaders. The sooner you join the team, the better for you.
Right, Samuel Wagisho, let's wind up on it as well, briefly.
I thought it was my turn.
Yes.
It was going to her and then me, but
it is your time. Okay, sorry.
But she has spoken several times. So
I think he's been very fair on the time distribution. I must say, first of all, what I want to say is that when BBI was first fashioned, they said they will take the town hall meeting methodology, where they go and hear the people of the locality that they have visited. Not to hear Raila, not to hear Anne Waiguru, not to hear Murkomen, not to hear anyone. It was supposed to hear the people of that locality. If we could take an example of the constitution-making process that was led by Yashpal Gai, he went to every location in Kenya. He listened to the people of that locality. No one else spoke. There were no experts at that stage. They recorded everything that was said by the ordinary people. It was then collated, and the experts looked at it. It was then taken to Bomas, where there are delegates from every location in Kenya. So there was a structure. So we have a precedent on how to do this. What we are against is holding a rally in Uasin-Gishu County, for example, and when they come, the people there, they play music, they dance, people make political statements, show off their political muscle, and leave. We want a situation where the people who will take center stage, the people who will speak, we will have a border representative, we'll have a Mamamboga representative, we will have a farmer representative, we will have a representative of the youth who are unemployed to speak, because it is their turn to say what ails them. It is their turn to ensure. Then that is the BBI. But if you go to a BBI rally, and only 10% of the time is the local people who are giving their memorandum, and then after that, you begin to dance reggae on stage.
No boat can't stop reggae.
Yes, and you know, and so that is the problem. And then if you look, and I think, let's be honest, before Murkomen walked out, he made it clear that I'm speaking, and I'm sorry I'll have to leave because I have another engagement and I am being given a lift by somebody. So he was very clear. He sought permission. I have done that before in rallies. I have requested for permission to speak and leave. So he did not walk out as in order to walk out with people. And let me tell you, if the Wananchi decided to walk out, then you should ask yourself what you should be thinking about it. Because if people really wanted to hear the leaders that are left behind, they will remain there. And remember, it was the BBI proponents who organized these meetings in any case. And then I want to get rid of this issue that we constantly say is people are abusing the president. Can you quote the sentence where they are abusing the president? And then people keep saying stop disrespecting the president. The president is big enough to protect himself. The president is big enough to take criticism. The president is big enough to be able to take abuse, if there is any. Because when you're a leader, people bash you every day. I get bashed every day, but I'm not going to start crying foul. It comes with the territory as my position as leadership. People have a right to abuse me, to criticize me, and disagree with me. And that is what leadership is all about. And the last one is saying, you want the deputy, so now you want to be declaring the schedule for the president, the deputy president. The deputy president must attend BBI rallies. The deputy deputizes the head of state. He undertakes duties on a daily basis that are allocated to him by the head of state. When you say he should go to BBI rallies, I haven't gone to BBI rallies, but you know what I do? Every day I get the full write-up and I get a full transcription of what transpired. So I'm up to date what is happening in the BBI rallies. Because I tell myself, I don't need to go to the BBI rally to speak because I want to hear the Meru people. So when I get the transcript and the memorandum, that is when I read it.
All right.
And that is the briefings.
All right, Gladys, but what
that we're able to
Thank you. What
do
would
that.
you say then when he says, or maybe what will be your reaction when he says that any BBI rally that is led by Honorable Raila Odinga is losing favor with Kenyans? If you're saying he's got his own itinerary, and you're talking about optics here,
okay,
what will be your reaction?
Let's think about it. Raila, as it is at the moment, of course, has time to go to BBI rallies because he's jobless. He's forgotten that he's even supposed to be running infrastructure under the AU and has decided to focus on AU. I wanted Raila Odinga to talk as a leader about locusts. I want Raila Odinga to put pressure on the government as a leader of opposition about coronavirus, because that is what the opposition is supposed to be doing. Opposition is supposed to be keeping the president in check.
But as it is, we don't have any opposition as it is.
Sorry? We don't have any. That's the thing. We have failed. You know,
Thank
and
you.
let me tell you, when you take a position as a matter of principle, because sometimes...
Hold it, Gladys. Let's hear from Samuel Pogiso.
I just want to give the last quote, actually.
The last quote?
Yes.
Briefly,
Which
one
is,
line up.
Yes. What you say is, when you stand for something, there will be people against you. Okay? But if you stand for nothing, there will be nobody against you and there will be nobody for you. So life is about, as a leader, is about taking positions.
Thank you. Samuel Pogiso.
I just want to say that I think, like I said, understanding BBI rallies is, if you look at what's on TV only and the media, you will not understand BBI rallies, because the meetings we are talking about happened the day before the rallies. All these groups come together the day before, and they have agreed on what is going to be read the next day. So if you want to engage people to do that, they meet the day before, agree on everything, and then bring the document for BBI. The other thing I need to say is that the BBI task force itself is busy hearing views from everybody. They're not in the rallies. In fact, only one of them comes to receive the document. The rest, they have their program. They continue to hear views. And so I think let us, you know, the one thing which I thought was very clever of our Deputy President is to try and now delink BBI from development in the country. And that is to show that he's now the only one who is concerned about youth unemployment. You know, the suffering youth, all these guys, is trying to craft a message for his campaign in 2022. And we're trying to say that, you know, BBI should not be about 2022. BBI actually is for posterity. The issues of BBI must be communicated effectively. And, you know, if we say really that Murkomen came and said that abusing the Deputy President must stop now, I mean, it's the same thing. I should assume that the Deputy President is big enough, like the President is big enough, for everybody, for him to be talked about, because he's occupying a very important political position. So I think the one thing which I would not go with, Debal, is the sentiments which have been shared here by Gladys of protectionism. You cannot protect Eldoret from the rest of the world. You cannot protect Uasin Gishu. I think that is a bad sign. Really, to say that, you know, nobody will take this microphone and so on and so forth. I mean, BBI has got its own schedule, its own format, and this is the format that has happened all over. It cannot change now in Eldoret. Say now is the time for people to come. It cannot change now. So we must actually say, be big enough. Your own words, be big enough to hear people talk about you in Eldoret. Let the world come to Eldoret. Let the entire Kenya come to Eldoret and Uasin Gishu. And by the way, when you say that Mandago is the one who is going to run that and not Tolgos, these are just very important people who already believe in BBI. But now if Mandago indicates that he doesn't believe it, how do you lead a system you don't believe in? If guys don't believe in this BBI, surely how do you then come and lead the process? It's like Murkomen coming to a rally. And I saw him come to the rally and say absolutely nothing good about the rally, but say his language over there was a bit vulgar.
Right, thank you. Let's just also get reactions from Twitter
but
here.
You know, Deval.
You had finished?
It's okay, but...
No. I thought I thought you had finished.
No, I mean...
Are you done?
I wasn't done, but you know, I think I didn't want to interject. Finally, I just wanted to say this. If we don't get to the point where the Deputy President gives the indication to his supporters and his followers that BBI is okay, we must all come together. Instead of talking about it, give us the indication. Because the signs are so bad. I didn't expect that Caleb would say things like that, or people would say things like that, stopping us from going to Eldoret. I think that's not fair.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. So we have Philip Mbithi Kiswi saying on Twitter that Raila has always been voted in by Kenyans, but he has always been denied power by the deep state. Gladys supported deep state before, but she is now mad that they seems to withdraw their support from her preferred candidate. Gladys, you'll react to. I'll give you a chance to react to that. Also, we have a Jamie Kenyan saying, today, Prof, you're missing the point. The BBI in Mount Kenya is becoming a hard sell without DP. Also, you can't dismiss one man, one vote, 1 shilling quest and equal representation and saying it's dangerous. Pogiso articulated well. All views are valid and will be accommodated. That is Jamie Kenyan there. Also, we have Jerry saying Mount Kenya spoke. In Nyeri, governor couldn't hold a meeting because there was no BBI document. In Meru, multiple people walked out and were even in agreement with Murkomen because they don't agree with BBI. The politicians need to read between the lines. This is what Jerry is saying. Also, we have Andrew Sule, saying that the music industry has provided jobs to many DJs, and most of them play reggae music. So when you stop reggae, you'll put most of them out of employment. Kindly never blame reggae for your political sorrows, right? This is what Dr. Andrew Sule, and I know he's an avid fan of reggae music. Also, Ahmed Kiari Njoge is saying, why is it that of the 5 panelists, 4 are pro-Raila and BBI? Right? 4. Right, so they're saying that is a perception. Maybe also you sucked into that as well. But I need also to make a caveat that one of the panelists, Alice Owome, couldn't make it as well this morning. So maybe just we can react on that. Then we gravitate to just briefly, because of interest of time, just a one-liner on the happenings in Nairobi, if it was legal or not legal. Now the handover of power, because many people are saying it was not really as part of the Constitution, that invocation of Article 157. Right.
Dibal, I think
briefly, sir,
for anybody to have expected that the meeting in Nyeri was going to be a walk in the park for Prime Minister Raila would be wrong. This has been Raila's weakest point politically. My interpretation is that he has made half the stride. He has not made as many visits to that region as, for example, the Deputy President has. So for anybody to dismiss that Mount Kenya has totally and completely made a decision would be too early to make that conclusion. Secondly, I sincerely believe that there is a level at which we must, as Kenyans, be in a position to talk with each other, to engage each other, and make sure that we are discussing these issues, because it is inherent that these are really critical issues. My honest observation, the rally which took place in Meru was actually, to me, even when somebody has said that we are pro-Raila. We are not really pro-Raila. I support Raila. I am his friend, but I'll call it as I see it fit. And right now, the way I want to call it is that I make an assumption until the last minute Raila has made a decision, a deliberate decision, to consciously try and engage Kenyans to make sure that we change and alter our political dispensation, because the truth is Kenya is messed up. Our country must be fixed. And I also believe that President Uhuru Muigai is correct in coming up on this narrative where he's actually also with Raila. The only thing I disagree with is that I would hope that this exercise and the narrative that is coming out is not really necessarily an exercise which is supposed to stop William Ruto.
Thank you.
I believe that William Ruto has his own capacities. William Ruto should be allowed to go out and run for president.
Thank you. We'll come to you, Gladys. It's sequentially, no, because of time. Because of time.
The Meru rally has proved what I've always told these fellows. When the BBI thing started, and when we got to the rally stage, I said, and I think it was on this bench, if some people don't take care, they will be isolated. They will look desperate. They will look like small boys. When men are in the field playing football, small boys are playing small balls outside.
There's nothing wrong with small boys.
No, we have small boys, both as grandchildren and children. That is exactly how Murkomen came out and his team, both in Kitui and in Meru. It almost happened to Wetangula and Mudavadi in Kakamega. They were sharp enough, belatedly though, to notice that thing. Now, I am a teacher, and if I convert this bench into a class, I would have asked you questions, but because of time, I'll only ask one student to answer the question. Who is the master of rallies and crowds in this country? Onyonka, answer on behalf of the rest of the class. Raila Odinga. So, when you take pride, in walking out of a meeting with a small following, if Raila were to want to do that and you are the president of Kenya and your name is William Samoei Ruto and Raila comes to Uhuru Park, then he leaves. You remain alone in Uhuru Park. There is almost no place in this country apart from Mount Kenya region where Raila cannot control the crowd. If he went to Eldoret and walked out, I'm telling you, more than a quarter of the crowd will walk out with Raila.
Thank you.
So you are not scoring anything.
Right, thank you.
But you could be setting yourself for problems.
Okong'o Mogeni.
Yeah, I think the people who are political competitors have spoken. I wanted to talk about the issue you have raised on transfer of
power. Yes.
Yeah. So just
as a one-liner, because also we are looking at time, that is still a developing story.
Yeah,
we can actually handle it next week as well.
I didn't want you to mislead the public. I think the proper article you should quote is 187. 187.
187.
Not 157.
Yeah, not one. Thank you.
Not
Thank
157.
you. 187. Thank you.
Yeah. So do I have time to comment on it?
A one-liner on it?
Yeah, I think if you look at that article, there is no doubt that discretion is given to either level of government to transfer function to another level of government if that function can be effectively performed by the other level of government. So in terms of there being a discretion given to one level of government by the Constitution, the answer is yes. Two, the involvement of the County Assembly. If you read Section 26 of the Intergovernmental Relations Act, the obligation is just for the County Assembly to be notified by the governor that he has entered into an agreement with another level of government for the transfer of those functions. But the bigger picture for me is that I think these are test cases. We are doing a test case of the 47 county governments. We have picked one, transferred some essential functions, including the health and county planning. Let's see how this comes out. Let's see if Nairobi will be, we'll enjoy better services in Nairobi by deed of these transfer of functions. If the answer can be yes, then we would have found an answer to the problems facing devolution. If it doesn't, then we say...
So was all the avenues
was it legal or illegal?
Yes, that's the question.
My answer is it's legal.
Okay.
If you read Article 1,
it's legal.
No, let me now, he said it's legal and articulated his point.
Let him finish then.
Madam Cholet, in court we normally get time, we speak, then the other person responds. Otherwise you disorient us when you interrupt us so many times.
All right.
Yeah.
Just
so
continue.
in terms of the law, yes, the law was followed, Article 187 was invoked. As long as the County Assembly of Nairobi is notified, it's legal.
I think
public participation bit? Yes.
I want to draw the attention of Kenyans to my article on page 16 of the Saturday Nation. Yes, Article 187 of the Constitution allows for transfer of some functions from one government to another. Okay? And it says, but there are conditions to that transfer. It is an agreement by the governments, the respective governments. Then, Okong'o Mugeni knows very well as a lawyer, you don't read one article in isolation. You must read them together. So when you say one government to another, as a good lawyer, the first thing I ask myself, what is the definition, definition of, I didn't say you're not, I said if you're a good lawyer now writing this, I then look at the definition of government. Definition of government, of the county government, in article, in chapter 11 of our constitution, clearly talks, and that's article 176, it says, there shall be a county government for each county, consisting of the county assembly and county executive, which means when we talk about government, we're not talking about the governor. We are talking about the county assembly and the county executives. For Kenyans to know, the usual waziris that are in the counties. So there has to have been, that is what forms government. Just the way, and I put it simply for Kenyans to understand, does a football team consist of a captain, or does it consist of a captain and the team? So the governor is just a captain. The team is the county assembly and the county executive. So if this transfer of power was to be done legitimately...
What about national government?
It was to be done legitimately. Then what would have happened is that there should have been a process where the conversation begins from the county assembly, the county executive, they reach an agreement, then they send their governor to go and sign that agreement to them. Let me finish first.
No,
to go and sign. No, the definition of county government.
Just a moment. Yeah, let's have
it's just the definition of county government. And I will be proved right on this. I am not wrong. It's a very simple process of the law. Now, the question you should ask yourself is that unless you're telling us that the governor, who is an individual, can act on his own. And lastly, remember, there is a court decision that said that Sonko can no longer exercise duties as a governor and he can no longer sign anything on behalf of the county government. So you are violating, first of all, that decision to hand over Nairobi, or what they are calling the landmark agreement.
Thank you.
Is an illegality from the start. Remember, they should have, the county government constitutes of those two bodies that I said. If we allow that issue, in fact, I would have thought that the first people to complain is the MCAs
Thank you.
And when you talk about notification, lastly, when the MCAs went, Nairobi MCAs went to State House, the ward reps sought clarification of their role in the new arrangement. They were told, you will find it in the deed of agreement, which means the county assembly members have not even read the agreement. So this is such breach, and I'm shocked that the Council of Governors is not taking issue. I'm shocked that the county assembly members are going to issue, and let me tell you, the court is going to overturn this decision.
Right. Pogisio, on
anyway,
that,
it is,
and also I want you to comment on Lusaka, the suspending probe into the Sonko deal as well.
Yes, let me just say something on that
briefly,
one.
Because of time.
Say something, because when this issue of Nairobi came, and the deputy speaker, who was in the chair that time, this is what you call a motion of adjournment. We adjourned to discuss this subject. The deputy speaker then evoked standing order number 1, which say, to use his own discretion and referred a matter for discussion like that, which was for ventilation, to a committee. Now, there is a quagmire in terms of understanding what standing orders say about what you can refer to the committee. And so when the speaker, substantive speaker came, Lusaka came, he then had a question on the floor. He was asked to clarify, was that really the way we should go? And so for him, which the only reason he suspended it, and I want to make this very clear, he says, okay, for that matter, I'm going to consult the Hansard, consult even with my deputy and others, and come back with a decision. So the suspension is not forever. The suspension is until Tuesday. Until Tuesday, then he'll clarify the point.
All right, thank you.
Yes. And just to now come in on what the other
Briefly,
matter.
30 seconds.
Okay, I know you don't have much time, but I think that we should then allow the interpretation to end somewhere instead of saying, like my sister there is saying, that the court will overturn. I mean, let's not allow, we are not here to make those kind of conclusions, because we say it's legal or illegal, but I think by that time, these lawyers, this guy will be on the opposing side, the other one on the other side. Nobody wants to say, I'm going to lose or already a case before it's done.
All right.
See, I think
30 seconds.
For me, Nairobi County was a matter of national interest. The city had become totally dysfunctional. The governor doesn't have a deputy governor. He didn't have half of his cabinet. I think these are matters that the court and maybe the Supreme Court will end up interpreting what happens when you have a county government which is dysfunctional, where the governor has been taken to court on an alleged corruption matter, where you have no deputy. Does the speaker have the responsibility? All these things, I think it is good that this happened.
Thank you.
I think President Uhuru was proactive.
30 seconds over.
It is something that we need to wait and see what the ruling is.
There is the bar. There is a lot that doesn't make sense about Nairobi County, including the recent takeover. There's a lot to be worried about and to be concerned about. But I want to use this to say one small little thing. If anybody had doubt in this country where power resides, how decisions in this country can be made, let them look no further than that. That is very symbolic. That is very telling. So those who are making noise in this country about certain things, they should know where the power in this country is and how things can be moved in this country.
Thank you. All right, thank you. No, I give it to no, thank you.
Sonko has not been bad. Sonko has not been bad from
performing duties.
Performing duties. He's only been bad from accessing the offices.
Okay.
It's a very important legal
right. Thank you to make that distinction as well. And I hope Haman Manyora, Gladys, that lunch is happening. Yeah.
No, I'm not buying him lunch because I.